wrapping up today's practice, the typical Wednesday practice that we do have. Play with a couple situational things as well that we feel could help us down in the red zone. The offensive line we're shuffling like we talked about, earlier in the week, and it worked out well. Also repped Alex Forsythe at tackle. He's done a very good job there. Capra's been very versatile, gone both guard and tackle. George Moore has also gotten some reps. Keith Sims has done well at linebacker, as well as, of course, Sampson. Trying to think of anything else that might be of value as an update, but that's.
Have you figured out who starts at left and right tackle yet, or are you still figuring that out throughout the week?
We want to keep giving them reps. I mean, this is a week. The way that they played last week, I'd say the progress made last week merits playing guys. Obviously Stephen Jones went in there and did a heck of a job, and today this week we faced the biggest challenge with a couple of defensive linemen that, well, let me say more than a couple. I mean, they're a full 2 deep, maybe 3 deep. They roll them in, and they're big, powerful guys. They go speed, a power rush on the edges. They're quick rips. I mean, they are, they're exactly what you want as a defensive line, and our guys used to block in our defensive line, which we feel is a great defensive line. So we feel like we're preparing the right way, and we'll be ready for the game.
You mentioned both Sampson and Keith. What do they add at that linebacker position?
I just think that all the reps that they've been taking and the training that they've had is now paying off. They've been behind some really good football players. Lana serves as a great mentor. He's almost like an extra coach this week. And I think all the cumulative reps, whether it be the walkthrough, whether it be the extra film work, even watching, on the second team, and then add on the reps that he has taken and now he has added on, both those guys performed really well. They're instinctive. They're very natural at the position. And they also bring some physicality to it, so we expect our guys, we expect those guys to do really well in the game.
Helpful to have Dye being the guy next to them as well with the performances he's had the past few weeks.
Without a doubt, we know he's like Ugo. He's like having a quarterback on the other side of the ball. He can line guys up the right way. If he sees something that's not all right, he can make up for it with his adjustment. So without a doubt, guys like Kim, guys like Ugo, guys like Jordan, guys like Justin Hollins, Jalen, they can make you right if it's not perfectly right, or they can correct the guy before it has a chance to be wrong.
You mentioned Ugo might take on kickoff responsibilities this week. Have you had a conversation with him about that, and how's that going?
Not yet. Not yet. It's in the works. We feel good about our kickoff return team. We haven't had a chance to return many due to, again, they're kicking it out of the end zone. But he is very capable. He's made sure that I go back and watch his high school film again for the 18th time. So that he has the skills to do so. He'd be excellent at it. We do have some guys we're repping. Jalen Red's a really good kickoff returner as well. So, but yeah, it's in the shop. It's in the shop.
Speaking of high school film, their quarterback that they're going to start at Utah's was kind of a high school legend in Texas. But you don't have a lot on him from Utah. What do you kind of expect?
Oh yeah, well he's a lot like Hundley. I mean, he could throw it all over the place. He's very accurate. He could throw the deep ball. He could throw the intermediate stuff. He gets the ball out quick to the perimeter, and he can run. He sees everything we saw in high school. It's very similar to what they're doing now. So the transition for him going into the start, I'm sure, is seamless. And they're so diverse in what they do offensively. They do so much. They make it hard to find the football, if that makes sense. With the eye wash, the motions, it's the snug sets or whatnot. So I'm sure he's very comfortable in what they're doing.
Coach, Tony Brooks James broke out that big run last week. Is there anything in practice that you've seen this week that would maybe warrant a little more of the carries than he's gotten in Pac-12 play so far?
Well, I think, him, CJ, Travis, Cyrus too, I think all those guys are doing a good job. So you want to spread the ball around and find out who's hot. Whoever gets hot at the time, you want to play them more. Certainly that explosive run, merits and warrants, more touches. So, it's certainly in the plans.
Short yardage, I know you were, especially before last week, virtually perfect on 3rd and short and 4th down. Travis was perfect before last week. But because Cyrus is kind of the designated short yardage guy, especially in the end zone there, red zone, excuse me. Travis was stopped, obviously, at Wazoo. He had the trouble last week. Cyrus, it begs the question, is Cyrus more cut out for it? Not to knock Travis, he was perfect prior to last week, but is Cyrus more cut out for short yardage?
Yeah, Travis, and Travis is upset with himself, but we have full confidence in him. He got high, he knows he's not an overly big guy, but right when he's about to hit it, it's him and the safety, one-on-one, and typically he's won that. Whether he makes it a subtle miss or he's able to kind of slide off and score or get the first down, he ended up getting caught, flush. But Cyrus has done a really good job being able to take the flush shot and fall forward for a yard or two. So we're going to keep working both those guys, but Cyrus certainly, warrants, giving them the ball in certain situations.
Mario, you've talked a lot about elevating the standard of this program, and you got your first road win in Pac-12 play at Cal. But I think Cal and Utah are different programs. The importance of this game and being able to go on and beat a team like Utah's caliber for the first time in a while. How important? Obviously, you want to win every game. Does this game carry maybe a little bit more weight for in the locker room and then recruiting perspectives too?
Well, I think that every game we play is always, we'll have the same conversation every week. Like every game becomes more and more important. And, this program, we have a lot to prove to ourselves, and we felt that we had that formula when we went to Cal, and then we didn't do so good after that. And now we got to go to play a great football team in a really hostile environment, tough place to play, and a team that prides itself on physicality. And so, to me, it's exactly what every program needs that is trying to reestablish itself. We look forward to the challenge, complete respect for their program and what they do, and we're excited to get going and get up there and play.
That was about the most extensive look you've gotten at Samson in game time. What did the film show you? What did you see how he did kind of getting more run than he's used to?
Sure, he did some nice things. I mean, he certainly got downhill and made some tackles in the run game. Some plays he'd like to have back, but overall, I thought as the game went on, his fits got better and better and better. Used his hands well to shed blockers. Overran one or two, but found the way to rally and get back and get a guy on the ground. So he really is a good tackler, and he's instinctive. And that position is one that, well, I mean, every position you got to get reps to get good at it, but that's one where to see the blocking schemes, to see the alignment of the back, the depth of the back, the quarterback's action when he pulls it out in play action. I mean, it does need reps, and he's gotten a ton in practice leading up to this, but he certainly got some valuable game reps where I think you'll even see a better player this week.
Moss brings a different challenge than you guys saw last week there too, obviously.
Well, he's got a lot of similarities to the back that we saw this past week because he's so physical. It's a big guy that gets downhill, but he also, you watch him when they played UCLA, that was all kind of wadded up inside, and he puts a foot in the ground, spins out, and still hits the gas and gets outside and scores. So he's a dynamic player. I mean, if we find ourselves every week seeing a player that we're playing against that's one of the best in the conference, and certainly he's one of them. Covey, you can't say enough about him. I mean, he's ultra valuable. I mean, you watch some of the plays he's made this year, the way he's improvised sometimes and made things happen, trick plays that don't work out, tuck it and running it, serving back there as a specialist as well. They've got a lot of really good football players.
Prior to last week against UCLA, the rushing game hadn't really done as well as you'd hoped, and some people were kind of pointing to Panay as, his loss is a little bit of a cause for that. You think this offensive line has kind of gotten into a rhythm now, having to adjust with, the last couple weeks with arguably one of your best offensive linemen out?
Yeah, he's a guy like that. I mean, let's call it what it is. He's one of the top linemen not only in the Pac-12 in the country, and when you lose a guy like that and the running game was gelling so well, you have to find answers and solutions. It took us a couple weeks trying to get the right combination, but felt really good about the way things went last week and rushing for 200 yards again and getting back on track. And it's a product of the hard work of all these guys. He was down, a couple of the guards were banged up, but they've shown a lot of grit, just getting right back at it. Of course, Brady's done a really good job. Draka's proved valuable at all spots, even when Jake went out, and he's going to have to prove it again. Right? He's going to have to be the guy, for 30 minutes before Jake gets in there. So, their mentality is awesome. They're just going to keep going, man. They're not going to stop. Stuff's going to happen. We're just going to roll with it.
What made the gel kind of occur? Was that a chemistry thing? Was that scheme and finding a set of guys that worked? What kind of came about this weekend that was a little bit different than the last couple?
A little bit of everything. A little bit. And I think we did a better job helping them out as well, letting them get in a rhythm. Sometimes, I know it's not the most popular thing, but a 1-yard run sometimes is not a bad thing because the next one might be 6. And all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 3, And I think that we allowed them to get into a groove, and when they did, we started getting the chunk plays.
Hollins with another sack and fumble on Saturday. What's gone into his success this year, and how important is it to put some pressure on their backup quarterback?
Yeah, he's playing hard. He's playing hard. He's a long, athletic guy. He can bend. He can turn the corner. He's got a lot of pride about him, works hard at it. Very smart football player. I think one of the best plays he did was cover the tight end on the backside. Quarterback scrambled, was probably going to score. He stayed with the tight end the whole time, so they couldn't hit him late, and then he chased down the quarterback and tackled him, I think, at the 14, whatever it was, before they threw the interception. I don't know if that play ever made any kind of highlight or they spoke about it on TV, but plays like that show you how smart he is, how tough he is, how hard he plays. And even out to the outside where they didn't see it, that's a game-changing play. All right, that ends up being a turnover where they had the ball 1st and 10 at our, inside the red zone. So that's why he's ultra valuable. He does it all, and he does it very well.
Your lack of depth inside. Your lack of depth inside at linebacker. How close is Andrew Johnson being able to play? You said earlier this week, or this year, he may be able to help you at the end of the year.
He's still a little bit away. I wouldn't say a ways away, still a couple weeks away. We'll activate you before we activate him.
I don't know if that's an upgrade or not.
Go ahead.
With Lana being out now, needs to take a kind of leadership role. How have you seen that develop over his senior season?
Lana's leadership role, I'm sorry, one more time.
How have you seen that develop over his senior season?
Oh, you know what? He was a great leader last year. He was. And I think when you know it's your last go-around in college, it intensifies. And he's been great. And he's a great leader now. I know he wasn't visible out there because he's doing some things, to make sure that he's okay and ready to go. But he's an inspiration to everybody. I mean, it's safe to say that he fought through that injury as long and as hard as he could, before he came out of the game because, you can't tell on the outside. But no, he's invaluable. I love him. I really do. He really is. He's what you want your son to be.
How much does that test your patience in the run game when you are getting 1-2 yards, knowing you need to stick with it, especially probably against a team like Utah?
I've been an offensive lineman or offensive line coach for a long time, and the running game is something that you could dance around it with flash and try to, make all about hocus pocus and trickery or whatnot, and that's going to get you. You got to make sure that when you invest in the run game, you got to fully invest in it. And sometimes it's loaded boxes and sometimes it's movement and pressure, but there's always an answer. There's always a solution. You just got to stick to it. And those 1 yard and 2 yard shots, they're like the body blows in boxing. They take their toll. And all of a sudden, in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, it's 8, it's 10, it's 12, and then it's 55, and then it's 60. I think we've seen that before in that other conference down there where that's how, especially at this time of year when bodies are beat up, it's such a key component of football. I mean, just the physicality that comes with it, the desire to fight through all the discomforts that come with it. I kind of love that stuff, sorry.